When we look up, we see a night sky absolutely packed with light. We are surrounded by billions of neighboring stars and countless overlapping galaxies. Because of this brilliant display, human beings have built their models of reality around a bustling, crowded cosmos. We see a densely populated neighborhood, so we assume the entire city looks exactly the same. But what if our entire worldview is just a fluke of geographic privilege? What if our understanding of reality is entirely biased by the extremely lucky location of our own galaxy? To see what the universe looks like without that privilege, we have to strip away the comforting glow of our cosmic neighborhood. We have to plunge into the dark. Out there, lurking within the observable universe, is an astrophysical anomaly known as the Booty's void. Astronomers often simply call it the Great Nothing. It is a spherical expanse of nearly pure emptiness, measuring 330 million light-years across. According to standard models, a space this massive should contain thousands of galaxies. Instead, it is barren, with only a handful of isolated systems scattered inside. Over billions of years, gravity should have pulled surrounding galaxies into this region, yet it remains a vacuum. This gap between our mathematical predictions and the physical reality forces us to question if we truly understand how the early universe organized its matter. Imagine we pluck the Milky Way from our cozy location, dropping it dead center into the Booty's void. Surprisingly, looking up from Earth wouldn't plunge us into total blackness. Our own galaxy provides enough local stars to keep the immediate night sky illuminated. The catch comes when you try to look past those local stars. If you pointed a telescope toward the edge of our galaxy, instead of seeing thousands of other galaxies shining back, you would find an impenetrable wall of absolute darkness. A human civilization evolving here would have a sky full of stars, but zero visual proof that a wider universe even existed. For thousands of years, naked-eye astronomy would reveal nothing. Even as early Renaissance thinkers built the first optical instruments, they would only resolve sharper images of our own local stars, locking in the idea that our galaxy was the entire universe. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution. Factories churned out larger, heavier lenses, yet that immense manufacturing power still couldn't bridge the 165 million light-year gap to the nearest neighboring galaxy. By the mid-20th century, the most brilliant scientific minds would be codifying physical laws and writing textbooks based on the absolute certainty that we were entirely alone in an endless ocean of empty space. For centuries, our finest philosophers and physicists would be wrong. Not because their mouth was bad, but because their optical reach fell short of the void's staggering radius. The physical problem was simple. By the time light from the closest galaxy crossed that 165 million light-year expanse, it was so hopelessly faint that standard optics simply couldn't register it. It wouldn't be until the 1960s that observatory technology scaled up to match the challenge, as engineers constructed massive steel frameworks and massive mirrors. These specific mid-century instruments finally possessed the raw, light-gathering brute force required to capture photons that had been traveling across dead space for hundreds of millions of years. Someone looking through a viewfinder would spot a faint smudge on the absolute edge of the darkness, the very first visual proof of another galaxy. Only then, in the 1960s, would humanity finally realize they weren't the only galaxy in existence. They had just been marooned in a massive cosmic desert. Let's snap back to our actual reality. Luckily, the Milky Way sits in a highly populated sector of the cosmic web, surrounded by light. Because of this crowded sky, our actual astronomers identified neighboring galaxies decades earlier than our hypothetical void dwellers ever could. A shift in galactic geography of just a few 100 million light-years would have delayed our understanding of the cosmos, twisting human philosophy, religion, and science for thousands of years. It proves that human knowledge is strictly tethered to the physical limits of what our local environment allows us to observe. The Booty's void represents a massive physical blind spot in our map of the universe, which leaves us with a terrifying question. What basic truths about reality are we currently completely blind to, simply because our modern telescopes can't reach far enough? Our grandest theories of existence will always be bounded by the size of the window we are forced to look through.